on May 5th or 6th, 1993. Did I read that correctly?
You read it right.
Is Ms. Hobbs telling the truth in paragraph 63?
Well, I would have to say that we've seen a man on the street, and he was kind of a poor-looking man walking.
When Ms. Hobbs states that you never mentioned to her seeing a black man or a black bum on May 5th or May 6th of 1993, is she telling the truth?
She was with me when we saw him, and no, she's not telling the truth.
And I don't want to have any confusion over what I'm asking. I understand it's your testimony that Ms. Hobbs was with you when you saw this black bum. My question to you is it correct that you never discussed the black bum with Ms. Hobbs from May of 1993 to the present?
No, that's not true.
And is it your position that Ms. Hobbs is lying about the black bum in that paragraph?
She's misrepresented.
Can you think of any reason that Ms. Hobbs would misrepresent whether or not you two had discussed a black bum that was seen on May 5th or May 6th of 1993, the approximate date of the murders?
You had to ask her.
You can't think of any reason?
No.
Let me show you what I'm going to mark as deposition exhibit number 26, which is a declaration from Marie Hicks. Who is Ms. Hicks, Mr. Hobbs?
Pam's mother.
Stevie's grandmother?
Yes, ma'am.
Amanda's grandmother?
Yes, ma'am.
Is she a good grandmother?
She's their grandmother.
Is she a good grandmother?
I would hope so.
Do you have any personal knowledge of whether she's a good grandmother?
Yeah, I would say she would be one.
Let me direct your attention to paragraph 17 of Ms. Hicks' declaration. She states, "I was very close to Stevie, and he would frequently visit me or stay overnight at my house." Is that true?
Yes, ma'am.
On one occasion, Stevie was over at my house visiting. He had been playing, and I went to look for him. I could not find him. Ultimately, I found Stevie hiding in one of my closets. When I asked him why he was in the closet, he told me he had gone to the bathroom, defecated his pants. Stevie told me that he was scared that Terry would hurt him for messing, quote, messing his pants, and told me that Terry always punished him severely when he had, quote, accidents. Stevie told me that Terry had locked Stevie in the closet as punishment for having such accidents. Did I read paragraph 17 correctly?
Yeah, you did.
Is it true that you would lock Stevie in the closet as punishment for having toiletry or bowel accidents?
No.
Can you think of any reason why Stevie would be hiding in one of the closets when he had an accident with regard to his bowels or a toiletry accident?
No.
Do you dispute that Ms. Hicks is telling the truth in paragraph 17?
Yes.
On what basis?
He was 8 years old. He didn't have bowel or bathroom problems.
And so it's your testimony that when Stevie was 7 or 8, he was not having any sort of toiletry, bowel, or urinary accidents.
Correct.
And so based on that alone, you dispute Ms. Hicks's testimony.
Most definitely.
Can you think of any reason that Ms. Hicks would make up the events reflected in paragraph 17 about the accidents and you, and Stevie telling her that you locked him in the closet?
You might need to ask her.
As you sit here today, can you think of any reason she would want to do that?
No.
Let me direct your attention to paragraph 18. It reads, "One time, Terry and his daughter, Amanda, were at my house." I think Ada's left out there, maybe. Out of nowhere, Amanda announced, "Daddy Terry sticks his finger up my butt." Terry jumped up and grabbed Amanda and took her to another room. When they came back, Amanda said that she had been lying, that her daddy had not stuck his finger in her rear end. I knew a 4-year-old would not just come up with that statement out of the blue if there had not been some sort of abuse. Did I read that correctly?
Yeah.
First, let me ask you if you recall this incident occurring.
It never happened.
As you sit here today under oath, it's your testimony that there was never a time that Amanda said that you had, quote, stuck your finger up her butt or anything like that.
Not to my knowledge. I never heard this one before.
And I take it then that it's your position that Ms. Hicks is lying in paragraph 18 when she discusses this issue.
Most definitely.
And can you think of any reason that Ms. Hicks would want to lie about something this serious as the events reflected in paragraph 18?
I don't know why.
Let me show you what I'm going to mark as deposition exhibit number 27, which is a declaration of Jo Lynn McCaughey. And who is Jo Lynn McCaughey?
Pam's sister.
Let me direct your attention to paragraph 16. And I'll let you take just a minute to read through that paragraph. I'll read the paragraph, and I'll begin with the second sentence. In 2003 or 2004, Terry asked me if I felt like he had murdered Stevie. I asked him why he was questioning me like that. He said he wanted to know. I told him that if he asked me, then I was going to tell him what I truly felt. I told him I believed he was involved in Stevie's murder either directly or indirectly. He told me that hurt his feelings. Let me stop there for a moment. Did that conversation occur?
No, ma'am.
Did you and Jo Lynn McCaughey ever have a discussion about whether you had been involved in Stevie's murder?
No.
Did you and Jo Lynn McCaughey ever have a conversation about whether Jo Lynn McCaughey thought you were in some way involved in Stevie's murder?
Not to my knowledge.
I'm going to continue reading. I told him I believed he was involved in Stevie's murder either directly or indirectly. He told me that hurt his feelings. Then we were talking about whether Christopher Byers had been mutilated, and Terry said the pathologist had said the cut was so precise that if it wasn't done by a surgeon, perhaps it was done by a jeweler. My husband is a jeweler, so I said that theory did not quite fit. I looked at him, and Terry then said something like, "You know, I've got experience from working in a slaughterhouse, don't you?" Did that exchange occur between you and Ms. McCaughey?
No, ma'am.
Do you, in fact, have experience working in a slaughterhouse?
Of course.
Why do you say of course?
My dad built a packing house back in the 70s.
What years were you working in the slaughterhouse?
In the early to mid-70s.
And what type of work did you do at the slaughterhouse?
We were butchers.
And I gather there were hogs that were butchered?
Yes.
And what other types of meat did you guys pack?
Beef and pork.
And were you actually involved in slaughtering the animals?
Sure.
On a daily basis?
Every day.
And have you ever had any discussions with anybody in Pam's Hobbs family in which you discussed your experience working in a slaughterhouse in conjunction with discussing the murders of Stevie, Michael, and Christopher?
No.
I take it then that it is your position that Ms. McCaughey is lying in paragraph 16.
Correct.
And as you sit here today, can you think of any reason that Ms. McCaughey would lie and make the statement she makes in paragraph 16?
I don't know.
Can't think of any reason.
No.
Let me direct your attention to paragraph 33. Terry has repeatedly sexually molested his daughter Amanda. Not long before Stevie's death, when Amanda was 4 years old, Amanda told me that Terry had put his finger into her booty. Have you heard that Amanda told Jo Lynn McCaughey, her aunt, that you put your finger in her booty?
No.
Do you believe that that is a lie?
Of course.
And can you think of any reason that Ms. McCaughey would lie about that event?
I don't know why.
Have you ever had any conversations with your daughter, Amanda Hobbs, about whether or not when she was under the age of 15, she accused you of any sexual wrongdoing?
Not to my knowledge.
Well, as you sit here today, because I would think that would be a conversation that would stick out in your mind, wouldn't it? A conversation with your daughter about whether you had sexually molested her.
I've never sexually molested my daughter.
I understand that's your testimony. My question to you is a little bit different. Have you ever had any conversations with Amanda about whether she ever accused you of sexual wrongdoing prior to, let's say, the date she turned 15?
I'm not sure.
Just don't know one way or the
Just
other.
don't know.
It's entirely possible that you and Amanda have had discussions in which you talked about Amanda accusing you of sexual wrongdoing when she was under the age of 15, correct?
I don't know. I ain't never touched my daughter.
It's possible you guys have talked about it, correct?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Don't remember one way or the other?
Not that kind of, we don't talk about garbage. And this is, well, I don't know where you get this stuff from, but no, this didn't happen.
I understand at your position it didn't happen, but I just want to be real clear about this. As you
I don't see how much more clear you can get than it did not happen.
I'm talking about a different topic though now. As you sit here today in 2009, Mr. Hobbs, you just can't remember whether you and Amanda have ever talked about the fact that she accused you of sexual wrongdoing while she was a minor.
I don't know.
Let me direct your attention to paragraph 35 of Ms. McCaughey's declaration. Throughout the years, Amanda has repeatedly accused Terry of sexual abuse. In approximately 2002, Amanda told me that Terry had grabbed her breasts. On one occasion, Amanda called me at 3 a.m. and asked me to come and get her in Paris, Tennessee, and take her away from Terry. She refused to go back home to Terry. Let me ask you first, did you ever grab, in 2002, your daughter Amanda's breasts?
No, I have not.
Do you have any recollection of Amanda accusing you in 2002 of grabbing her breasts?
No, and I've never been to Paris, Tennessee.
And do you have any recollection of Amanda calling Jolynn McCaughey at any point and asking her to come get her and take her away from you?
No.
Let me direct your attention to paragraph 37. Let me back up for a second. I gather then that you believe that everything contained in paragraph 35 is a lie.
Most definitely.
Let me direct your attention to paragraph 37. Ms. McCaughey states, later, when Amanda was older, she again told me that Terry had sexually abused her and that he was physically abusive to her when she was pregnant. She said that Terry slammed her into a sink, causing the loss of a pregnancy. Let's break that down. Have you ever been physically abusive to Amanda?
No.
Were you ever physically abusive to Amanda when she was pregnant?
No.
Have you ever slammed Amanda into a sink?
No.
Did Amanda ever lose a pregnancy?
No.
Did Amanda ever go to the hospital as a result of trauma while she was pregnant?
No.
Have you ever had any conversations with Amanda about you being physically abusive?
No.
So I take it that it's your testimony that Ms. McCaughey is lying in paragraph 37.
Most definitely.
Let me turn your attention to paragraph 42. Terry physically abused Stevie when they were alone. Terry had a bad relationship with Stevie. He would punish Stevie by hitting him with a belt until he drew blood. Terry would also punish Stevie by locking him in a closet. Are any of those statements true, Mr. Hobbs?
No, ma'am, they are not.
Are all of those statements lies by Ms. McCaughey?
Most definitely.
Let me direct your attention to the last paragraph of Ms. McCaughey's declaration. Terry has promised Pam that if he wins this case, he will pay her $50,000 immediately. He has told her that he plans to make $250 million from winning this case. Have you promised Pam Hobbs that if you win the case, you'll pay her $50,000?
No, ma'am.
Have you promised Pam that if you win the case, you will donate $50,000 to the charity that she'd like to set up?
No, ma'am.
Have you told Pam that if you win this case, you will pay her any money?
No.
Have you told Pam if you win this case, you will donate any amount of your winnings to her charity?
No.
And have you ever told Pam that you plan to make $250 million off this case?
No.
Have you ever told anybody that you plan to make $250 million off this
No.
case? Have you ever told anybody what you expect to make off this case?
I ain't asked. Well, I ain't expect nothing.
I'm sorry?
I didn't expect nothing.
So it's your testimony, and you mentioned this earlier in your first deposition. Are you abandoning your claim for monetary damages in this case? This case, you don't want any money?
No, I think we requested a jury trial.
You requested a jury trial and you requested monetary dollar damages. Do you still want dollar damages from the jury?
I don't recall that dollar damages.
As you sit here today, putting everything else aside, are you going to ask the jury to pay you money or not?
I'm just going to let it all fall in the hands of the jury.
But the jury's only going to give you things that you asked for. So my
Objection.
question to you
Calls
here
for a
is,
legal conclusion.
are you going to ask for money in this case, or is
Well-
this just about bringing the case?
We'll deal with that when we get to it.
It's true, Mr. Hobbs, that you are going to ask that the jury order Natalie Pasdar and the Dixie Chicks to pay you money, correct?
We'll deal with that when we get there.
It's entirely possible, isn't it?
Is it?
Well, it's what you alleged and
Objection
asked for
calls
in your
for a legal
complaint.
conclusion.
You've already asked for money from Ms. Pasdar and from the Dixie Chicks. My question to you is, you intend to ask for money from Ms. Pasdar and the Dixie Chicks at a trial of this matter. This is not just about getting a finding from the jury that doesn't involve money, correct?
We'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
You just don't know as you sit here today whether you're going to ask for money. Is that your testimony?
Objection, it goes to the legal strategy. He doesn't know what we're going to do at the trial.
That's my question to him.
We'll deal with that at the trial.
Do you have any idea as you sit here today whether you're going to ask for money from Ms. Hobbs?
We'll wait and see when we get there.
The answer to that question is no, you just don't know.
Okay?
Is that the truth?
Sounds good.
My question is that the truth?
Objection, ask and answer
Yes or no?
15 times.
Is that correct?
We'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Let me show you what I'm marking as deposition exhibit number 28, which is a different declaration from Ms. Hobbs. And I'll direct your attention first to paragraph 7, which states, during our marriage, Terry was a regular user of drugs. He frequently smoked marijuana in our home and out of the house. He also used crystal methamphetamine and cocaine. Is it true that you were a regular user of drugs?
No.
Is it true that you smoked marijuana in the home?
We did sometimes.
And you say, we, I'm just asking about you.
Me and Pam.
You, in fact, did smoke marijuana in the home with an 8-year-old
No.
son and a 4-year-old daughter?
No.
You smoked marijuana in the home after Stevie died?
Probably.
How frequently?
I'm not sure.
Once a week, twice a week?
I'm not sure.
Just can't give me any sort of ballpark of how frequently.
Right.
Too many times to remember.
Or not enough.
You tell me, was it more than 50 times?
Couldn't tell you.
More than 100?
Couldn't answer.
More than 500?
Couldn't tell you. Don't count them.
How many times did you use crystal meth in the home?
Long enough to see it wasn't for me.
How long did that take?
Not long.
Several months?
No.
Weeks?
Or less.
What about cocaine? How many times did you use cocaine in the house?
Not enough to count.
So essentially, the statements that Ms. Hobbs makes in paragraph 7 are correct?
To some degree. I'm not a user of drugs.
Let me direct your attention to paragraph 8. Paragraph 8 refers to the evening that you hit Ms. Hobbs and shot her brother. Let me read it. Terry was violent and he hit me twice. In 1999, Terry got into an argument. I insinuated that Terry had a girlfriend. As I attempted to leave the house to get away from Terry and just drive around to cool off, Terry fought me for the car keys. When he couldn't get the keys, Terry hit me in the face with a closed fist. I was truly hurt and was worried that he had broken my jaw because he had hit me so hard. I called my family and I talked to my brother, Kevin Hicks. I asked him what a broken jaw felt like. My brother and parents immediately came to check on me. I told Terry my family was coming to take care of me, and I believed that Terry would leave the house. Instead, Terry waited outside for them, sitting on the tailgate of the truck. Is paragraph 8 a true statement?
No.
What's not true about it?
I'm not violent. Never have been.
Let me just stop you for a second, because let's be clear about that. It is your testimony that you are not a violent man.
Correct.
You are not an angry man.
Angry over things that has happened in the past 2 years. Yes.
Fair enough. You are not angry in the sense that you become physically abusive.
Correct.
And you do not fly into rages.
Correct.
And you do not beat your children.
Never.
What else is wrong with paragraph 8 other than that you are not a violent man?
I didn't have a girlfriend. I was a married man.
Have you ever cheated on any of your wives?
No.
You hesitated?
So?
Or were you thinking of an event?
No.
How many times have you been married?
Twice.
Are you seeing anyone now?
No.
You hesitated on that too?
And?
I'm wondering if you're thinking about
No.
somebody that might be an answer to that question.
No.
Okay, what else is wrong with paragraph 8?
I ain't hit Pam with what it says here with a fist. I never have hit my wife with a fist.
Well, you testified before that you backhanded her. So the debate is whether it was...
Hand, backhand.
Okay. Like, show me how. Well, harder than that, right?
Right.
It was a hard hit, hard backhand.
It was a slap backhand.
And what else is wrong with paragraph 8?
I didn't break her jaw.
I don't think she said you broke her jaw. She said it felt like a broken jaw. What else?
And I didn't sit outside and wait on them.
Anything else?
And number 8, I don't know.
Anything else on number 8 that as you read it through it, you think it is false?
A whole bunch, most of it, yeah.
Well, you've listed for me the things that you think are false. Is there anything else other than what you've listed?
Well, let me reread it.
Sure.
And it didn't happen in 1999.
What year was it?
94.
Anything else you can see that's incorrect or false about paragraph 8 of the Pam Hobbs deposition that is marked as Deposition Exhibit 28?
Well, she talked to one brother, her stepbrother, and her brother come down with her parents.
She talked to Kevin Hicks, but Jackie Hicks came down with the parents.
Correct.
Okay, anything else?
Nah, it looks pretty good. Okay.
Mr. Hobbs, why didn't you leave after you found out that Pam's family was coming down to check on her after you had hit her?
First of all, I didn't hit her.
Backhanded her.
Second of all, it was my home. I don't have to leave.
But you understood that Pam's father and her mother and her brother would be angry with you for laying a hand on her at all, whether it was a closed fist or a backhand, right?
Okay. What, did it say in here she hit me too?
Well, let me... You understood that her father, her mother, and her brother would be angry with you for laying a hand on her, whether it was a closed fist or a backhand, and whether or not Pam had touched you, correct?
Correct.
That's just the nature of family, right?
Does it say in here I called the police as soon as she told me that they was coming down? No, it don't.
Fair enough. I'll get to that in just a second. But before you call the police, after Pam tells you the family is coming, and you know they're going to be mad, doesn't it make sense to just leave and let the situation cool off?
No, I didn't do nothing.
You had just slapped your wife.
Well, she had been provoking me for 3 days over one simple woman.
She was asking for it?
Well, you might ask her.
You might say that, right?
Well, you don't provoke somebody for 3 days over something that's not there.
It's your testimony that because Pam was kept bringing up her belief that you had a girlfriend over the course of 3 days, it was appropriate for you to backhand her. Is that your testimony, sir?
Objection to the term appropriate.
No.
Wouldn't it have been prudent, let's put it that way, for you to leave the premises, even though it was your house, when you found out that Pam's family was coming to check on her after you had backhanded her?
No.
Why not?
It's just as prudent for them to stay home and mind their own business.
Your position is that after you backhanded your wife, it would have been more prudent for her family to stay home, not come check on her, and, quote, mind her own business, than it would have been for you to leave the house for a couple of hours and let them check on her without you there provoking the situation. Is that correct?
I wasn't there provoking nothing.
You
I
had
lived there. That's my home.
You had a gun in your pants, didn't you?
I did.
And you don't consider going out to meet her family after you had backhanded her with a gun in your pants provocation?
I didn't go out to meet her family, and they never knew I had a gun in my hand.
Where were you exactly? They didn't know. Jackie Hicks and his dad and his mother did not know you had a gun in your pants when you were talking to them, did they?
I didn't talk to them. They come out to talk to me.
And where did the shooting occur?
Outside of my home.
You were, in fact, outside, correct?
Correct.
You met them outside when they came to check on Pam, correct?
No.
How did you get outside to shoot Jackie Hicks?
I had a front door and I had a back door.
And?
They come in the front and I went out the back.
They came in the front door, you went out the back.
Correct.
And how did you shoot Jackie in the front yard?
Well, they came in the front and I went out my garage and stood out there by my truck and called the police the second time.
And where did the shooting occur?
Out there by my truck.
In the backyard?
In my driveway.
In the front?
Correct.
So how did the shooting occur in the front if you had gone out in the back?
I went out my garage, I called it my back.
Gotcha. So your garage was in the front of the house?
Correct.
Let me direct your attention to paragraph 9. As they were fighting, Terry pulled out a gun and shot Jackie in the abdomen. He was moving to again shoot Jackie, and my father started walking toward Terry. At that point, Terry pointed the gun at my dad and said, quote, "You'd better not go any farther. I'll shoot you too, you fat motherfucker." Did I read that correctly?
You read it correctly.
Did you say that? Is that how that transpired?
No. No.
Is Pam lying in paragraph 9?
This is not a true statement.
Is Pam lying?
Evidently.
And the last portion of paragraph 9 states that there was ultimately a surgery to remove that bullet, and her brother died as a result of complications from that surgery. Are you aware of that?
No, her brother died of crack cocaine.
Do you have any guilt feelings about shooting her brother?
I wish it never happened.
Do you have guilt feelings?
Not guilt,
Do you have any remorse over shooting him?
sure.
Why?
Because I liked him. I'd been in the family for years.
And so you wish you wouldn't have shot him?
I didn't shoot him.
You shot him.
I did not.
The gun just accidentally went off?
To shoot someone, you have to point the gun at them to shoot them, correct?
Yes.
I didn't point the gun at Jackie. This was an accident.
Let's take a small break so we can change the videotape.
This is the end of tape 1 of the videotape deposition of Mr. Terry Hobbs. Time is approximately 10:06 a.m.